So, welcome to this next 15-minute conversation in our series on what really matters. And today, I'm really delighted to be able to welcome and speak to Lee Welham. Hi, Lee. Nice to see you.
Hi there.
So, Lee, as many of you will recognize, is our local big issue seller. And many of you will know him or will have certainly seen him and his friendly smile. He often is chatting to very important people. I've seen him recently talking to the Archbishop of Canterbury, I think. Didn't I see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I know the last two.
Last two, yeah. So, Lee, great. Thank you for joining us. And we haven't got very long, and I'm really sorry about that. But can you just introduce yourself to us a little bit?
Yeah, so my name's Lee Welham. Most people will recognise me from selling a big issue outside St John's, but haven't always been a big issue seller. I originally come from Great Yarmouth. I spent the last 10 years running fun fair stalls and selling seaside stuff and entertaining families along the different seafronts around the UK. I've always had like the gift of the gab, if you like. So market trading was the number one thing for me to do. And yeah, it's one skill I've picked up, and it's a bit of a handy thing to have selling the big issue, as you'd imagine, because I'm quite confident and I'm able to, reach out to quite a lot of people using some of these old skills.
And you studied up at what then was Anglia Polytechnic, is that right?
APU, yes. I got into being an accountant, but I realised pretty quickly that I am not the sort of personality that can sit in an office. And I realised really quickly I was selling more trainers to the students than I was doing studying, and ended up working straight away at Ingermells Market in Skegness. So I kind of give up on the studies. But when you go back, it's almost 18 years ago. Thinking of my situation now, I never generally ever thought I'd ever be here. As the years have gone on, I've earned some really good money in my time. Some bank holidays I could earn £1,000 in a day. So earning £10 on a rainy, windy day while I was actually rough sleeping was the total opposite end of the spectrum, and a big shock for me.
You were rough sleeping in Cambridge, weren't you? You were homeless in Cambridge.
Yeah, so I arrived on June 13th, 2018. I'll be honest, it's because I lost access to my son. I was having a major bipolar moment. I really did crash. So I arrived in Cambridge and ignorant. I thought I'd just get housed by the council, but it's not as simple. It's never as black and white as that, is it? I was kind of too old for the YMCAs, and I was too young for the older programs. So yeah, 265 days behind the swimming pool on Parker's Piece. But as time went on, I did often stay around people's houses. People were really nice. So I've, sofa surfed in Cherry Hinton and Histon and all sorts of families. One Christmas, I was taken to Huntington by a family called the Watsons. And even though they were vegans, they still cooked me a turkey on Christmas, which was a big shock for me. But I'm still in contact with them. I've got to meet some really amazing people. People really did rally around me.
I remember you telling me being homeless was terrifying for you. Could you just, tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I've used to having quite nice luxuries in life. So sleeping outside, it took me a while to actually do the first night's sleep. It was like the third week in, because I just walk around with my backpack. I probably do a marathon's worth of walking in an evening. I didn't want to. I see other people do doorways, but it takes some courage to do a doorway, or I realise now, it's down to alcohol and drugs. It becomes easier to sit in a doorway, but there was no way I was doing that. So yeah, I walked around for ages, and then I found a spot at the back of the swimming pool, so it's kind of secluded, and it was blowing out hot air from the swimming pool, so you kind of got a little warm. But yeah, it was lonely as well, Doing the big issues all right between the hours of 8 o'clock in the morning and maybe 6 in the evening, because I get to see all the girls from Tony and Guy and the students and my friends from the CAF. But after 6 it's lonely, and I can see why people turn to drugs and alcohol. I was lucky I kind of had a son, and my friends to constantly think about. And, I'm not a dipstick, I've still got my brain. So like I knew I was going to be all right in the end, but it's so lonely. And yeah, it's a total shock between the real world that I was in, you know, walking past them, and then suddenly being one of the ones that, you know, was being ignored. I felt invisible at first, but again, I used some of the skills that I picked up. You know, I looked people in the eye. I'd wear a suit. That's how I met Rowan Williams. You know, he was bamboozled that I was selling the big issue in a suit, handing out CVs. But I had to. It's hard to outwit you guys. Some of you students are the cleverest people in the world. You know, so to be, you know, witty and, you know, different, it was a challenge. It was a big challenge. I'd sit up at night, try to come up with lines, and you know, it's sometimes a little bit bruising when someone says to me, "I've heard that one before," because, you know, wear my shoes, buddy. You know, I bet you could only come up with a handful. So, but it's just, you know, life's, it's all ignorance, you know. And now my bubble's popped, I can't go back. Ignorance was bliss, you know. And this is why, with the help of Rowan, we set up this charity. It Takes a City, and, you know, I do as much as I can to try and change people's views.
Yes. Well, you do a fantastic job with that. I know from talking to other people. You just mentioned looking people in the eye. I remember when I worked in London, a homeless guy there who I used to talk to from time to time. We initially first started to talk to one another because he said, "Congratulations, sir. You're the first person that's looked me in the eye today." And I've never forgotten that. That actually he said, although homelessness focuses on people who
Yeah,
don't have homes,
powerful.
actually for him it was the fact that nobody just looked at him as a human being.
Yeah.
Did you experience that yourself?
I'll be honest, I've had a few of the builder sorts, you know, like give me some waffle. So the Get Yourself a Proper Job was a funny one, because they actually sell an alcohol beverage called Proper Job. So I bought one, emptied it out, and when I was waiting for the builders all day, and then I finally clocked him, and I said, "Sir, I took your advice, fella. I got a proper job, but not really a fan of ale. So thanks for the advice, sir, but I think I'll stick with what I do." And believe it or not, I worded it so correctly that we ended up being quite cool pals now, you know. We have a bit of banter. So it's breaking down barriers, isn't it? No one wants to be horrible, do they? You know, I used to have old ladies at fun fairs open their purse out to throw money at me to entertain the kids, and I was pretty good at what I was doing. And then the other side of the spectrum, I've now got, because I'm wearing a tabard, you know, people holding their bags. I mean, they don't mean to make you feel awkward and bad, but, you know, I did a little, but I'm thick-skinned. I got on with it. You know, deep down, I know I've got a good heart. Deep down, I know, you know, I was healing. You know, bipolar's a weird thing. You could give me £1 million, and if I got a bipolar episode, I ain't going to be happy. I can't change it. I can't explain it. It's a chemical thing. So, you know, like, you know, I am fixed in. I got on with it, and I do think some of the students, you know, maybe I am a little different to some of the guys, but, you know, if you can build them up, you know, it's not all about money. You know, the sales are good, obviously, but I like the little chats I have. You know, I'm doing a marathon, no training. Do you know how many students have come up to me going like, "Lee, I've studied some of this. You know, you could have a heart attack in there." I can't wait to prove them all wrong.
Well, of course, and also people generalize students often and talk about students being one particular type, you know, irresponsible and carefree and all that. And actually, students are all human beings as well and have different histories and different personalities. And so, yeah, students also know sometimes what it's like to be generalized in a very unhelpful way. So, Lee, I mean, with your life experience and all that you've done and seen, and, you know, the focus of these conversations is what's really important, what really matters. What's your answer? 3. So we had a little bit of trouble with our internet connections, so we're going to try again. You've moved. The question that this whole series is based around is what really matters, Lee. So after your experience in life so far, what's your answer to that question?
I've been thinking about this all day, obviously, since we kind of failed our attempt this morning. But I think truly and honestly, 10 years ago yesterday, my son was born, and it really changed my life. It made me reevaluate all my questions, and everything that I ever did. I was always, you know, just traveling around, living off, you know, like, just, it didn't matter. I took day by day, having an actual family, because I didn't really grow up with one. My dad died when I was young, and my mum did really well, but I've always wanted a family of my own. And I personally think, even after COVID, I think the whole country should have learned this lesson, that family is just so important. Even just human contact in general. All these things make me happy. Just doing nice things for people, seeing your neighbours. Later on, now the sun's come out, I'm having a spot of food around my friend's house, and that makes me happy. I think we should all really not take anything for granted. When I was younger, I never thought I'd even have a family, let alone lose one. So yeah, just grab the ones you love really hard and never let go, and just enjoy life.
Thank
That's
you.
what makes it.
And if you had, because I hope some students are watching this, if there's a student or two out there that really want to help homelessness and the situation in Cambridge at the moment, what bit of advice would you give them? How can they help?
I think if you look at my experience as a bit of experiment, a whole community rallied around me, whether it was washing my clothes, whether it was having a 5-minute chat with me, whether it was just even getting me a cup of tea from my cafe, Le Patissier, or Bowl Brothers, another great cafe that looks after me. Any one of them things really, really helps. People feel invisible, homeless. They feel like no one really cares. They don't care about themselves, and just by you giving that couple of minutes of your time, once, twice a week, once a month even, it lets them know that you see them. You can do such little things, make the massive impact. The lady from Hardy Sweet Shop washed my clothes, and Tony and Guy, they cut my hair. This all made a difference. It all made me start loving myself again, which I told you there was a time where I didn't even want to live, but I didn't want to die. So you can do this to anyone. Build the vendor. You're building them. You're helping them climb that ladder. Offer your ladder, because a lot of you students, you've got a ladder. You can help. You've got wonderful advice. You can inspire. You inspired me. Even if you just inspire one person in Cambridge over your 3-4 years studying, then it's made a difference.
Well, we're really delighted that you're a neighbour, and thank you so much for being part of this series. And I'm sure, and I hope, many of St John's community will say hi to you as they pass by soon. Thanks, Lee, very much indeed. Okay.
Thanks for giving me a voice. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye.